Hi, welcome to BFS Wargaming. We're going to talk about how to play kill team campaigns. So to start off with, we're going to talk about the original kill team, and then we'll go on to talk about kill team commanders, the expansion, how that affects campaigns. So we'll start off with original kill team and command rosters. So the first thing you want to do is create a command roster. Now, in the rulebook, it says that you can start with 12 models. I'm not totally sure how fair that is, because it doesn't matter how many points their models are, I suppose, because you only can ever use 100 points in all kill team game for the missions. But I prefer to set like a points amount. So usually what I do is I see how many missions the campaign I think the campaign is going to go on for. So for instance, me and Andrew played a 4 mission campaign and we put a limit for 200 points. So basically I thought as a general rule 50 points per mission. So our command roster was 200 points. So if you're going to play a 6 mission game, 300 points. So you could have as many models up to 300 points. And remember, you can have as many specialists as you want. So you could have multiple leaders, multiple of the same specialist in that command roster. But when you actually play the kill team mission, you can only take 4 specialists and you're not allowed to repeat those specialists as you play in that one mission. But if, for instance, your leader dies and you have another leader in your command roster, then you can put him in as your leader. Obviously, if all of your leaders in the command roster are dead, then you have no more leaders. That's how I prefer to play it. If you want to play it with the 12 models and then you can just keep adding models when you want, then that is obviously another way you can play it. So we'll go into talk about the resources. So it recommends you start off with 8 of each resource, and I think that's fine. Obviously, depending on how you want to play, you can, it says in the book, you can change that however you want to change it. In each mission, it tells you how many resources you get for winning the mission and stuff like that. So you go to the missions to see how that's going to affect. Basically, what happens is you don't want to become a guerrilla faction, because if you become a guerrilla faction, what that means is one or all of your resources have gone down to 0. So there's 4 different types of resources. You've got intelligence, material, morale, and something else which I can't remember. But you've got 4 different types, and you need to get basically the more you've got, the stronger your kill team is. If you go down to 0 in any of them, then you will then suffer becoming a guerrilla faction, which then affects you, and you pretty much can't win the game once you become a guerrilla faction, I think, unless everyone becomes a guerrilla faction. You can carry on playing and taking part. It just means that you don't hold land, you're just in the hills shooting people and just upsetting other people's days rather than actually trying to achieve something for your faction. So the next thing we're going to talk about is strategic withdrawal. So basically, to win the campaign, you need to finish with the most resources and, you know, try and make everyone else go down to a guerrilla faction. But you can do a strategic withdrawal in any of the missions. So if you get to the end of turn 3 and you think there's no way I'm winning this mission, I'm just going to end up losing specialists and losing people, then you can strategically withdraw, and then you follow the rules for strategic withdrawal. You do casualty rolls and stuff like that. Just to, as well, when making your command roster, make sure, honestly, make names up for each of your models. Give them names. In each faction, there's name lists and charts you can use. You can roll them randomly, you can choose them, but really do it, because it really did improve on my experience of doing a campaign. Like it made you get attached, like not in a majorly emotional way, but yeah, I just think it's a really it definitely immersed me more into the game, giving my models names, even if it's just the specialists that you're going to give names. But like I really do recommend you do it. It was a lot of fun. And so once you finish a mission, Okay, there's 3 steps you go through. So you go through sorting out the resources, so how many you lost, how many you gained. You then go to casualty rolls. Okay, so what you do is for anyone that's been taken out of action, you roll on the casualty roll table, and each one, so I think it's a 1 they die, a 2 they're convalescing, which means that they can't take part in the next mission, and I think it's a 3 to 8 they're just okay, they've recovered, and then 9 to 10 they have something called hard knocks, which means they gain extra experience. And then the people that are flesh wounds at the end, you have to roll, and I think it's on a 4+, they are then out of action, and you then roll on the casualty table for them as well. So once you've done all your casualties and who's got casualties, who's gained extra experience, then you go to the experience. Okay, so each specialist get experience for different things, fire teams get experience for different things, so read through them rules to see why you gain experience. And then, so I'll quickly go to a fire team and what a fire team is. So in your command roster, you've got your specialists, you know, your leader, your snipers, all those sort of things. Then you have fire teams. So for instance, I'll use the Necrons as an example because I've used them. If you have flayed ones and they aren't specialists, then any flayed ones that aren't specialists in a fire team. So anything of the same model type. So if you had a load of Immortals or a load of Necron Warriors, they would make fire teams up. So you can't put a Necron Warrior in a fire team with a flayed one, for instance. So what happens is them flayed ones, or that fire team, if they kill someone, they can gain experience. As they gain experience, they do go up in points. So each model is like +1 point once they go up to level 2. Level 3 is +2 points per model. And level 4 is +3 points per model. So as you work through the campaign, if you're sticking to 100 points per mission, you are going to get smaller fire teams. They'll just be a little bit better at what they do. But yeah, it's very cool, a way of like you seeing your guys get experience, get better. And then if they die, you can bring new people in from the command roster. And even the people that aren't in the mission, if they're in the fire team, they still gain the experience. Okay, so if you took 4 flayed ones, but in the fire team on the command roster you've got 8, all 8 gain the experience. So that's really, really good. So yeah, experience, you sort all of your experience out and what happens there. And you sort your specialists out. So again, with your specialists, as they increase their level and gain experience, they then become more expensive. So you do, it's not like each time you do a mission, you'll go up a level, because there is, each level takes a little bit more experience to get to. So you'll be going up gradually. But it is a lot of fun. It's really, really good to play. So I think I've covered most of the things to do with the original Kill Team campaigns. They're a lot of fun. I highly recommend you play them. Like I said, like all the rules are right at the back of the Kill Team book. They're pretty easy to follow. Once you start doing the tables and things like that, they're pretty easy to follow. So I'm just gonna go to the Kill Team commanders now and tell you how they affect a Kill Team campaign. If you want to use commanders, you don't have to, but in the book, the Kill Team commanders book, there's a load of missions in there which you can do with the campaign that include commanders as well. So I'll just read some of these and how it affects it. So you first rule, you can only have 1 commander in your command roster. Okay, so like you can have multiple leaders, multiple snipers. You can only have 1 commander. You can't have multiple. Okay, so and you also have in the commander book, you have a commander casualty roll table. So the commander can never die. The worst he can get is if you roll a 1, this commander starts the next mission with 1 flesh wound, and you must reduce its move, attacks, leadership wounds, and strength characteristics by 1 for the duration of that mission. So basically, he's just really, really hobbling along. He's not going to be great, you know. So yeah, there's different things depending on what you roll, how effective that commander would be in the next mission. So something else is commanders do not gain experience points like other members of your kill team. Instead, when you first include a commander in your kill team, you can purchase commander upgrades for them. So Warlord Traits and Specialisms. Commander levels and commander traits. Yeah, you cannot purchase additional upgrades for your commander during the course of the campaign. So whatever you pay at the beginning, that is it. You can't then make him better halfway through a campaign. So if a commander takes an enemy specialist out, so this is how the commanders actually can affect your enemy's kill team when they then do their casualty rolls. So when a commander takes out an enemy specialist out of action, treat any rolls of 8 made by model's subsequent casualty roll as hard knocks. So they gain experience. If they got killed by a commander, they then, instead of on a 9 or 10 they get hard knocks and gain experience, they get it on 8, 9 or 10. So that model has faced one of the deadliest foes in their enemy's army and lived to tell the tale. So, you know, it's quite a cool little rule that if you got killed by a commander, you can then get better from it. You can be like, oh, I went up against a commander and I survived, and I've got that little bit more experience because of it. A specialist gains 1 experience point after a mission if one of its attacks or psychic powers took an enemy commander out of action. So you get an extra experience point for taking a commander out of action, which is really cool. Similarly, a fire team gains 1 experience point after a mission if one of its models' attacks or psychic powers took an enemy commander out of action. So same thing for a fire team. If one of my little flayed ones managed to get the final blow in, then that whole fire team would gain an extra experience point, which is cool. If a player's commander was taken out of action during a mission, the player loses 1 morale at the end of that mission, regardless of the outcome of battle itself. So therefore, you know, when you're losing your commander, it's then affecting your resources as well. So you've got negatives to taking that commander in a mission if he doesn't do well. So I think that's quite cool. And then lastly, if a player's commander was taken out of action during a battle, roll on the table below, which I talked about, and instead of the normal casualty roll table. So I said, like, number 1 is a serious injury, 2 to 3 is a minor injury, commander starts your next mission with 1 flesh wound, and it reduces its move, attacks, leadership characteristic by 1, so not quite as many characteristics as rolling a 1, so that's 2 to 3. And then 4 to 5, contusion, the commander starts your next mission just with the 1 flesh wound, and then 6 to 10, he just makes a full recovery, and he's fine. So yeah, that's how basically commanders affect the campaign experience. I'm definitely looking forward to playing a campaign with commanders just to see how it goes, see how much that affects the campaign. But I do love that the original Kill Team campaign, you know, you've got this unit of troops and they sort of, you select different ones for different missions depending on their specialisms, depending on their experience or the amount of models you think you're going to need for that mission. So for instance, if it's to hold multiple objectives, you might think, okay, I'm not going to take my really experienced guys because they're quite expensive. I'm going to take my less experienced guys, and I'll have more models on the table to then hold them. So it's sort of tactical with the command roster on who you want to take and things like that. I think I've gone through sort of done a good overview of the rules for the Kill Team campaign. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I've gone through the rules, I've written some stuff down. I think this is giving you a good general overview. So number 1, make your command roster. Number 2, give your models names. Make sure you give them names. I really, really think it does improve the experience. Number 3 is choose all your resources. Okay, so as in choose how many resources you're going to start the campaign with. And then number 4, select the missions. You can roll off, you can pre-select missions if you want. There is different ways of doing it in the book. And then, yeah, after that, once you've resolved whatever the mission is, you then work out resources, you work out casualty rolls, you work out experience, you then go on to the next mission. And remember, if you go down to 0 on any of your resources or all of them, you then become a Guerrilla Faction, and that is when you sort of lost the campaign. There is ways you can still win, so you can have a look at the rule book and check them out. It sort of goes into a bit more finer detail of if this happens and if that happens. I'm not going to go through it all, but yeah. So that's a general overview of how the Kill Team campaign works. I highly recommend doing it. I was actually, when I first started playing Kill Team, I was just like thinking about playing the 1 matches here and there. But then I played a Kill Team campaign with Andrew, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm definitely going to do more. So I highly recommend it. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this Houseplay Kill Team campaigns, and please subscribe, like, let us know your thoughts if you've done a campaign. Let us know if there's anything that you have put in that's maybe not in the rulebook that improved your experience. Like, for instance, the way I played with the points for the command roster, I felt was a good way of doing it and a fair way of doing it. But let us know your thoughts. Check out Mad Gaming Terrain, our sponsors. They do awesome terrain for Kill Team. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.